Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's David Palmer, the Leo King, and we are here for Deep Astrology, my weekly show where we go, of course, deep into the astrology. And not only do we do this uncut at the beginning of the show where I raw channel and tell you what's going on in the cosmos this week, but then, of course, we go deep into the charts and we look deep at them. And by the way, those charts are from Astro Gold. If you don't have Astro Gold for your iPhone, or you have it for your Mac, or you don't have Solar Fire for your PC, you're missing out when it comes to doing astrology charts. Now, this is the week of, I don't even know where we're at in time. I think today's the 16th. We're going through the 22nd of 2018, and this is the last week of Libra. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because we're getting ready to go into Scorpio world, and there's a lot happening in freaking Scorpio world. So I think that it's actually a good thing. I think I'm ready for Scorpio world. It's kind of like, let's just get to the bottom of all this stuff. You know, when we're in Libra, there's so much to weigh out. There's so much we're looking at. We're so much intellectually processing. But we are still continuing this Venus retrograde, of course. And this Venus retrograde has gone through Mercury. So we've definitely shifted our idea. We've really processed a lot of our deep feelings and emotions and projects, relationship, money situations. And now we're still on the fucking fence. You know, I love using the analogy of Jurassic Park 1. I know there's so fucking many now, but it's like Jurassic Park 1 where the boy is sitting on the fence and there's no electricity and the alarm's going off. Pew, pew, pew. And then you know what he's doing? He's doing this old funny thing where he's like, the alarm's going off. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do. And then the next thing you know, right when the electricity comes on is when he decides to fly off. And I'm just like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I just think that it's super important for people to realize, like, right now, there is this point in our life where we have to not be afraid. And the reason why I say that is because, yes, there's a lot to process. Yes, there's a lot to weigh out. But we are getting very clear in directions in what feels fair, beautiful, and right. And then another direction that just feels unfair, untogether, not in alignment. And when we look at the course of the planets this week especially, we've got a couple things. First thing, this moon is going to cover the south node and come on to Mars fully direct out of shadow for the first time. And it's all going to be happening with this big Mercury square Mars energy. So this is us being like, that alarm's going off. Beep, beep, beep. Mercury in Scorpio, the investigator looking deep, trying to understand our deep feelings, and Mars in Aquarius, wanting to connect, wanting to take that deep energy and go off into the universe with it and find a way to make it all happen and connect that with our life. But Mercury square Mars can be a little volatile, I'll be honest with you, right? It could be, you know, forcing things, forcing information, forcing conversations, angry conversations. The positive in it, though, is it could definitely be like, okay, we need to integrate this information and do something with it. Because right now, there's a lot of information coming at us, and the sun in Libra, which is at fall position, by the way, it's not at its big strength, is kind of freaking out, like, what do I exactly do, and how do I really do this? And with Venus, which is retrograde, of course, it makes it even more like, oh, there's so much I'm still trying to understand deeper before I do, but this Mercury square Mars is the alarm going off about what your deep truth is, where you really want to go in life. And a lot of clarity that's actually there, but there's this soul part of ourself that is in a very kind of undetermined, unknown, weird aspect to all this stuff. And another weird part about Mercury this week is it's going to make a big trine over to Neptune. And with Neptune and Mercury in water, I mean, there's intuition galore going on what either is A, feeling more psychically and spiritually, intuitively in the right direction, and then B, where it's like very clear on what is obvious and unconscious part of ourself, obvious this kind of hunger inside or this deep need for more, where is it going to take you down a road of where you actually get lost? So we're kind of like on this weird like hanging chad where we're like, we know that we go this way, we could dip down into a trap, or if we go this way, maybe it might go into a trap. So it actually makes it kind of like, what's the better trap? Some people might be even freaking out about thinking about that. There is no such thing, I think, as a deep trap here. I think that this is more, what is in alignment with more of the more compassionate, pure, and heartfelt soul? And what is this deep need that is like a hunger, that is like a raptor feeding on a freaking little gazelle of ourselves, of our sexual energy, of our kundalini energy, of our wild side that wants to just, have something in our life, but after it's done ingesting it all, are we fully spiritually satisfied? And so this is a lot this week about realizing that we have to find true balance in our needs, true balance in our soul expression, and true balance when it comes to, yes, with Mars and Aquarius, the moon going to be coming through here, and especially this moon is going to square Venus Retrograde. This moon is going to be squaring over to Mercury. This moon is going to be squaring over to Jupiter. There's so much intense energy this week about this. What world do I really want and what will satisfy me and keep me stimulated? Stimulation. How do you keep the stimulation? Especially with Uranus, right? That's in Taurus, is starting to square the North and South node. Oh boy, when it comes to our direction and our soul journey right now, this is the North Node finishing in Leo in these next couple weeks. This is Jupiter finishing at the end of Scorpio, about to cover the end of 2014 and the 2015 cycle that finished of Saturn Scorpio, where things got really intense and really deep and a little bit, I'll be honest, dark. And uncover that we can move past this, that we can journey beyond, that there were big lessons there. And so in many ways, this is us starting to begin this ending cycle of going back in multiple directions. You can go back to Venus retrograde in October of 2010 and the cycles you're learning about relationships and how you dealt with money then and how you're changing that. You can go back to the cycle of 2014 and 2015, the final degrees of Saturn when it was in Scorpio, and this deep part of yourself that you were trying to understand, of your sexual expression, of your deep needs and wants. And here's Jupiter to reveal what the whole secret was of what that was about, how to understand it, and how to journey forward. But with this North and South node, in South in Aquarius, North in Leo, Uranus and Taurus squaring these spots, it's like it brings up this really weird piece in our life that tells us, hey, we need to find the highest quality world that's out there. And high quality is Taurus. Taurus doesn't like cloth and roll-up windows and an AM/FM radio with no CD player. It just doesn't. And that's what's hard with all the Scorpio energy right now and this Taurus energy finishing up, is that is a big battle of like, I have really extreme needs, but like, are they good? Do they produce positive, beautiful things? With the sun finishing in Libra, with Uranus here in Taurus finishing out for the next couple weeks, there is this need for us to realize like, we can find what we deeply need in beautiful areas. It's actually possible. We don't have to be destructive. We don't have to destroy beautiful things because we think at some point, oh, it's not delivering what I want. But are we really consciously aware of actually what we're trying to destroy that might be beautiful and great and harmonious and actually leading us towards a more heavenly, beautiful place? That's what this week's truly about. Is realizing, what are we trying to destroy? And what part of ourselves do we need to change in ourselves to have more beauty in our life, to have a higher quality of life? Because there are destructive parts of our soul. There are destructive parts of our life. And we try to destroy things in order to think that we'll get something better on the other side of the fence, and maybe it's not as better as we thought. What really gets me this week, too, is not only then does the moon come into Pisces this weekend, and it comes on top of Neptune, And there's a lot of this quincunx energy beginning with the sun quincunxing Chiron in Pisces. There becomes this really weird point here where it's like our unconscious selves have to really become aware of what we're trying to do with our life and whether or not we're going to repeat similar patterns that we have been repeating when it comes to our desires and how we meet those desires, and whether or not we know how to heal and deal with our own issues, which honestly, we're all not perfect. We all have subconscious patterns. We all have unconscious things that we do in our life. But how do we find a way to intellectually understand, balance them out, not judge ourselves, and find the right energy, the right relationships, the right people who are on the same understanding and realize we're not perfect and find a way to come together and not try to destroy, but try to find a way to either close a story properly or find a way not to fix, because I think this Mars in Aquarius and South Node in Aquarius thinks we can fix something. This isn't about fixing something. This is about aligning individually, North Node in Leo, with knowing what is going to be the purpose, what is the determination, what is the production going to be of the individual self, and can we all align on that power? Because this is a time in our life where the individual is a very powerful aspect in the astrology, and this is a time for us to all be empowered beings, because once we're empowered and we align with other people empowered, we can go much farther, find balance and harmony, where we're not being this person who's like carrying somebody's load or, being the person who's doing something for someone. This is definitely a time in our life where we are finding, do you know how to find your empowerment? I can find my empowerment. And are there solutions? It's not about fixing, but it's about solutions, about moving forward into a better place with the understanding of who you are, with the understanding of who I am, and this deep understanding and allowing of that and accepting of it and opening up and being freaking spiritually naked and exposing all these truths and exposing our raw, authentic feelings becomes intense. And with Mercury making massive aspects this week, especially in Scorpio, I think that this is a definite time in our life to realize, okay, can I understand the wild, kind of erratic, intense hunger that you have, that I have, that they have? And can I accept that stuff? And can I move forward with that? And will you move forward with that, seeing that in myself? That's what this whole Libra transit's been about. Especially, this Chiron quincunx south, or the sun, is weird. Because it's on the heels right after that. Guess what? Boom! We come into the sun opposing Uranus as the day on October 23rd when we have the sun move into Scorpio. Boom! That's going to be major. That is going to be waking up extremely. So this week really is like big closing out stuff, because guess what? Next week, the sun comes into Scorpio. The sun and Venus come together. We get ready for, when we come into the Halloween time, right? In about a week and a half after next week, we come into this gnarly zone where Venus is going to come back into Libra, where the nodes are going to switch into Cardinal, where Jupiter's going to leave Scorpio and come to that 28th degree and trine Chiron, which is going to heal a deep wound from August of 2015. Go into your life. There was some crazy motherfucking shit going on down there. And we're about to get into that healing zone, which has been affecting the whole cause and effect of how you've been reacting. And this is a week where reactions are going to be intense, right? People are going to be triggered by, this Mars in Aquarius, this Mercury in Scorpio, about information, about truth coming out, about things and ego pushing. And this is a time for us to not allow that to take us over, to find a way to see that there is a higher road, that there is a high road to take, that we can still get all we want, and it actually might be integrated in places that are around us. We just have to see them. We have to look for them. And I think that part of this whole Venus retrograde cycle has been finding these deeper, internalized new ways to feel better about things. But with Mercury that crossed it last week, this realization of like, maybe actually I can get this in a space that I didn't think I could before. And a lot of that is this Uranian element in Taurus that is teaching Scorpio, hey, I know you want this, but did you know that you can actually do this to get it? You can actually do that to get it. You can have this and have that. Scorpio can kind of get really determined on like, you know, oh my gosh, like this is the one way that I gotta be. This is the one thing that it's got to look like. Like, especially when you talk about, you know, sex or orgasms or anything dealing with Scorpio, right? It's like, I can only have one way. You know, it's like, well, I think like this Taurus element says, like, have you touched your sensual senses differently? Have you looked at what actually is possible and actually manifesting it differently? There are ways in our life to get what we need, what we desire, what we truly want, and find different courses of action, or looking at what we value so important and so beautiful and so enriching. Why destroy that and try and build something radically brand new? Maybe we haven't looked and tried a different angle. Maybe we haven't looked at a different way of doing things. And this is going to cover all of our wanting to see a different world, wanting to peace out and go into some crazy different place, when I think that the whole objective here is like to stay here in this reality and to look at the things that you value very deeply in your heart, very deeply in your soul, and find a way to see if there's integration of truth on yourself, other people, other things, and whether or not you can show up and do that. You know, somebody just asked me, I think the other day on Facebook, like, what do I feel like about the whole financial situation in life right now with Venus retrograde and Scorpio and stuff? And I just replied a simple reply. I laughed and I said, survival. I think that this is a moment where we're finding, like, what do we need to take to survive? And that there are new, unique ways to find ways to survive. Doing things with your money, doing things with your soul, doing things in relationships that are different ways to maybe make certain things survive. And if they can't work, then you know that's not the way. But I've been noticing in the universe, especially with all this energy, that there are these beautiful aspects all over the place. Even though, yes, it's been a crazy time and we've gone through the craziest year of all years, in my opinion, when it comes to how neurotic things have been. But for the fact that this week that the moon will pass Mars and kind of emotionally sit in a new position of Mars direction and moving forward, and with Mercury square Mars, it's that red alarm. It's demanding that we start doing something, that we start taking some sort of action, and then we start at least committing mentally to it, and we start to take that action towards a place, but without doing it without being volatile or angry or demanding. But the alarm set kind of says, hey, the electricity is about to turn on. You can't just sit on the fence forever. And this sun quincunx over to Chiron, and in conjunction, this thing is just like, you cannot sit in your own grief. You cannot sit in your own guiltiness of your who you are. You've got to learn to embrace and find the beauty of the weirdness that you are. You have to embrace the beauty of the uniqueness that you are. And if you're able to transcend and see that in also other people, and you can find people that see that within you, then that, my friends, is the Holy Trinity. That is the Holy Trinity. That is the holy moment that is coming here. Because the ultimate test of this whole thing right now with these nodes and Uranus, and soon to be Venus retrograde, and the sun next week, are definitely about realizing how can we bring a better, awesome, amazing life of true bliss, but finding new ways to do that and making sure that we just don't destroy it all. And I know that sounds sometimes impossible, but being somebody, if you need to close a door, you can close a door properly. Why do you think we have funerals? But then you can go into wartime, and some people just throw the dead bodies, just fucking pile them up and don't do shit with them, right? So it's like, are you going to be that if you're closing a door, or are you going to give a proper burial to something and have integrity with it? Because this is Saturn in Capricorn, right? And Saturn's now moving to 4 degrees, so now Saturn's getting, now that old, soul's starting to move with its cane towards it's moving up the mountain again. So this is us about that new integrity spot. This is us moving into a higher integrity. This is us starting to see in our life where we really think is a better place for us to go. And this is us learning to be, if we're going to end something, that we end it with peace and we end it with love. But we also need to check before we end things completely in life, that is this something extremely beautiful that doesn't maybe need fixing, but maybe needs accepting of the truth? And what is the reflection in yourself with all this Neptune energy this week and Mercury and the moon? There's a lot of that's this reflection of like, well, am I just destroying this because I like to destroy things? Or am I destroying this because it's beautiful and I don't know how to accept beauty? Or maybe I am like afraid of what it will be like to actually commit to this because it's going to require me to go to levels I've never been before of a better life. The truth is that we're all afraid right now to go to a better life. We're all afraid to go to a new realm that we've never been before when it comes to sensuality, when it comes to creation, when it comes to true self-worth issues. That's what really this is going on right now. And true love, North Node in Leo, at these last degrees, the best degrees of the Leo, by the way. Yeah. Because the beginning of Leo is the true form of childlike emotional love and happiness and bliss. And Uranus is trying to push us that way. But then there's that opposite form with the South Node and with Mars there and this like rebellious side. And when you mix that with all this Scorpio and the squares, it's a carnivore that's on a rebellion streak. And it's like, are we going to be that? Or, and then there's the other part of Leo, which is kind of the egoic, right? Like king, queen, like deep, like I want this castle. And it's like very Game of Thrones. But how do we have to be either of those sides as kind of this destroyer? Or can we actually integrate into evaluating things while we're on the this is the fence here with the alarm going on. You have a little bit of time, but you just can't just sit there forever and just kind of go, like, you know what I mean? Like, and get shocked. Because this is definitely a time for us to look really deep at a path in which choices must be made. This is Saturn and Pluto and Capricorn with all this Scorpio. It wants and it demands some sort of understanding and commitment. And so it's hard because we're on the fence. And I'm not saying this week you have to make the biggest choice of your life. Although you might feel extremely pressured with this Mercury square Mars. Trust me, Mercury square Mars like pushes you into the room, right? It pulls you into that situation and pushes things at 100 miles an hour. It's the pace car coming off and all the green lights are on, the green flags are going, and let's go. And it's full throttle. Bah! But when we're in the driver's seat a little, freaked out, you can't drive the car at that fast of a speed if you haven't made some sort of commitment or you haven't dealt with kind of the issues in yourself of where you're still hanging on, like, am I a good driver or should I not race? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just be in that seat going that fast and expect to win the race, to accomplish, to go to a better place when you're still like hanging on the fence so long. So I'm not saying that you need to make a choice or that you need to do something, but I think this week is going to bring up this feeling of like, you know what? I need to do something. I need to at least pick a path. I need to stick to it. And I think that it helps out a lot with at least having the openness of like, or even in yourself, if it's in projects or relationships or anything, it's kind of this commitment to self of saying like, I accept myself, I accept what I'm doing, I'm going to choose this road, and it doesn't mean that I have to be fully integrated yet. I'm examining, especially as we have to finish this Jupiter and Scorpio transit, I'm examining every deep part. So it's kind of like a half-assed choice, but in a weird way, there's a deep choice at the same time. I know that might sound crazy, but this is kind of a Libra energy in the middle of a wild freaking storm. So let's take a look at the charts, because I think it's time for us to do that, because that's how much stuff's going on. And of course, nothing's changed except this week. I don't know if it was, but yeah, last week. It's still my OG Mountain Berry Blast by Powerade. I know I'm not sponsored by them and they're not paying me crap. And again, I want everybody to know the charts I use are from Astro Gold. You can get the app. It's super awesome. They're the bomb. They're my favorite astrology software program. Check it out, Astro Gold. Super cool. Or just Solar Fire if you're on PC. Now, here we go. Let's look at this. October 16th today, and let's look at where we're at. We just finished this Sun square the Moon in Capricorn. And that's why I think this decision thing has been becoming very intense, right? Because we had 3 energies here today, and this has all been about choices and decisions, because that's what Capricorn is about, making a choice. What is the choice? And here's the Moon heading towards this south node in Mars now, coming into this Aquarian zone of like, where in the world are we going and how does it all work and how does it all connect? You got to look at Aquarius kind of like a fuse box with all the fuses and all the wires, or whenever you look at like how the internet works and the hub and all the Ethernet cords, right? So it's like, how is this all going to connect with the choices we make? But it's coming during a time in a week where the sun is only at 23 degrees, and here it is got to come all the way this week and finish. So there's a lot still that we're hanging on the fence with here on Tuesday, but there's these choices that we feel like we must make. I'm not saying that you have to. All I'm saying is like this overwhelming feeling is okay to have. That helps the processing cycle. And I think that it's a good thing for us to have that in many aspects as well. Also, of course, we were talking about the North and the South node, right? These two are in Leo and Aquarius, and here's Uranus at 050, been making that square, right? And so anytime anything is coming into this zone, and actually the midpoint right now of the Sun Venus is Uranus. How interesting is that? So this whole issue right now about relationships, money, projects, and where we're hanging on the fence are coming into this opposition with Uranus, which is saying, well, what's the high road here? What's the best road? What is going to manifest your life the best? And what does that look like? It's kind of a big question that kind of freaks people out, and people can get a little weird about it too. Moving on, October 17th, Wednesday. This is where things start to get really interesting in my opinion, because we do get this Moon South node energy, and the Moon will square Venus Retrograde. And I feel that this is important because, one, we are going to get some very intense emotional looks into what is happening with this emotional. We might get some different insights. We might start to get some unpredictable news, or some random events start to show up, because Mars is starting at square to Mercury. The Moon will then square Venus retrograde, then square Mercury. So yeah, there's going to be a lot pulling on some information that maybe we didn't know yet in ourselves. Maybe there's some information that we were waiting to get starts to show up. Like this kind of puts on this kind of crazy show again out of nowhere. And it starts to help us start to see what side or what we're weighing out, what to do with it. Because I think that's been part of the issue, is like, what do I do with this? What do I do? Oh my gosh. And when you look at like the Moon passing Mars, which I think is a big deal, is like, this is Mars finally direct. This is the first time since pretty much it would have to be April into May that the Moon has come over Mars at full speed. So in over 6 months, we have not felt Mars at full speed. Been a long time. And when you start to get to this place where Mars is at full speed, guess what? We actually feel like, okay, I've got some power again. And guess what? It's squaring Mercury right when this happens. So let's take a look at Wednesday when we can take a look at this. Or sorry, it's Thursday, the 18th. Because by the 13th, there's the moon in Aquarius past Mars, and it's exactly when Mercury and Mars are starting to square. And I think that this is important because this sun in Libra will start to trine the moon. So we actually start to get this power back, Mercury demanding some sort of answers and clarity and deep truths and wants how you really feel on the inside, making a hard square with Mars, which is this identification of this unique person who you are, the world that you want to live in, the world that you want to be in. But it's like, can they work? Can you be that rebel and that wild person in identity now at full strength with your demands and your desires and with the sun trining over? Like, can you accept that? Are you going to be critical of that? Are you going to judge that? Are you going to be totally on board? Can you make a deal? And especially that's the whole like alarm going off. Pew, pew, you know, like whoa, whoa. And this is all while, look at this, Chiron, 29 degrees 0 minutes. Exactly on this day when this starts to get intense here on Thursday, Chiron's at the last degree, moving backwards, but will come to 28 and get off this last degree. Now, when I talk about last degrees or whatever like that, okay, like last degrees are always the most intense. Yes, the 28th degree is a pretty intense degree in especially Pisces, but the 29th is definitely the most powerful. So believe it or not, with Chiron leaving this space, this is going to help out a lot, especially with trying to determine like what we're doing with our soul. Because I think that this Chiron at this last degree, again, is another weird aspect where we kind of feel emotionally, spiritually like we're hanging and we're unsure of how it's going to all turn out, and we feel a little weird because of it. But these transits are starting to demand, and they're closing out a lot of like, let's start to do something. Let's start to move forward because there's been almost too much processing. So here we are, Friday the 19th, Mercury 14. There's that Mars 14. So we have the exact square coming up Friday. And look at this. I can't even believe it, actually. Yeah, Chiron 2858. Bam. So it comes off that last degree. The moon enters into Pisces, which I think is going to be a good part because I think that this starts to reveal our deeper soul aspects on a big, deep level. So we're going to have 3 energies in Pisces. We're going to have 3 energies in Scorpio, and they're all going to be trining. So we're going to have this massive trine, 6 energies in this space. We've got a lot of Earth to ground us, of course, with Saturn and Pluto and Uranus, even though Pluto and Uranus aren't the most grounded, I would say, in Earth signs. At least it adds that kind of earth element that we can really start to process our spiritual, emotional self. While Mars is squaring Mercury, the alarm's going off, the demanding's going on in ourselves, and we need to do something, that we need to take action, that we need to force the conversations, we need to force the answers in some sort of way, or the answers will be forced in our face to help us understand where this is all going. What's going to be next? Like, how is this journey going to go? Because I think that there is so much going on behind the scenes. And I mean, I'd sit here and talk to you for 20 hours straight about the next 6 months. But I really, it's so much that all I'm trying to say is that do you really just want to hang through the next 6 months in just no man's land? Or do you want to at least go into some sort of position in your life where at least you know in the back of your head, let's see where it goes, whatever road you choose in your life. But hey, who knows, right? But at least pick a path. Like being in no man's land when Saturn's in Capricorn and Pluto's in Capricorn, the only way we've been getting away with this lately is because of the sun in fucking Libra. Not to say that I don't like Libra. I love Libra. I'm just saying it that way. So the only reason why we've been getting away with it is because the sun is in its fall position. It's at its worst position. It's not strong. So our souls are just kind of not strong, but Saturn's the dignified one right now, and Neptune's dignified. And there's this dignification of like, okay, like where's the soul going? Is the soul connected to its highest place? And then there's all these kind of mixed elements of Venus retrograde and detriment, right? I mean, we've got Uranus at its fall position in Taurus. So we've got the Sun and Uranus, starting to get ready for their opposition by the end of this week. We got the Sun and Chiron making their weird angles. So the only way we've been getting away with all this is we've been just like in the fence world and weighing it all out. And so it's not been a good time for like kind of like putting all your energy into something. It's kind of been this time of like figuring out how to survive, figuring out a lot of information and what to do. But by this week, it kind of demands some sort of informational direction. And with that is going to come some closures. With that's going to become some beginnings. There's going to be this kind of like, okay, and you're going to start to see people start to shift by the end of this week. Like, yeah, I'm going this way. That's the way I think I should go, even though I know if you look at the transits over the next 6 months, Uranus coming back into Aries, Chiron still in Pisces, but then we'll come direct. There's a lot that then those two come forward, and in the early or the late winter, early spring, or in the next 6 months, things just start to, move into this old space we were this year, but without a lot of the crazy neurotic energy. But, just realize that these choices that are beginning to be made over this next couple weeks cycle, which is going to be the most extreme cycle. I made a post, I think on Facebook, and I think I made it on Instagram, about something that I want to show you all. And I'll have fun and I'll show you guys here right now. And this is how I'm going to lead things up. So let's look at this real quick. So, oh wait, let me get out of... Let me get to days. Okay. So, let me do this. Hold on 1 second. And then let's go to here, edit charts. How many of you guys have looked at the chart for 1938? Anybody been looking at 1938 lately? 1938. So let's have some fun, okay? So on October 30th of 1938, this was one of the last times that Venus had retrograded in Scorpio, but it was a Venus retrograde in Sagittarius, and it took days, and it took, okay, now here it is, Venus 29 degree, right? Uranus was in Taurus at 15 degrees. So what I'm trying to show you before I go deep into this chart here, and so people are like, where is this guy going? The last time that it was physically possible for a human being to experience Venus retrograde in Scorpio with Uranus and Taurus, okay, was 1938. Let's go back to the chart. So here we are, November 16th, 38. Let's do the whole Venus retrograde. Look at this. Look at this Sun, Venus, new moon at 28, 29, where Jupiter is now. Man, I can go on for hours about the deep connections to those degrees and Saturn and all that stuff and the past and history and blah, blah, blah. But let's see when Venus stops and goes direct. It goes direct at 19 degrees of Scorpio on December 10th of 1938. On December 10th of 1938, Uranus was at 14 degrees. Venus was on the north node, interesting enough, but it was not in exact opposition. So we have not felt an exact opposition of Venus retrograde to Uranus and Taurus. Nobody alive on this planet has, because I know there's a lot of people that were born pre-1938. But you would have to do the math to do that again the next time over, and you would have to at least go 70 plus years behind 1938 into the 1870s. Probably. I'm doing all the math in my head, which we could have some fun real quick, because why not? We're here to have fun and look at astrology, and this is what people eat up. So let's just have fun and look at I don't know, 70, so 38, that's 38 years. Let's add another 30 years, so that's 1870, 68. So actually, it would be in the 1860s. Like, let's try 1861. Uranus was in Gemini. So, years. So, Uranus in Taurus, Venus oh, there's Venus, so here we are. This might have been the spot. Oh no, so Venus comes in and it just passes. I'd have to do the math in my head from 38. So this is where I'm going to teach you guys some fun math about Venus retrogrades. Oh no, that was the wrong thing we wanted to do there. Let me have some fun and teach you guys this. You guys will enjoy this a lot. All right. Okay, so here's the Venus retrograde cycle. Okay, that has been happening in this area or zone. So the last one was 2010, then it was 2002. So all you do is just minus 8 years, right? Then it was 1994. Then it was 1986. Then it was 1978. Then it was 1970. Then it was 1962. Some JFK stuff right there, by the way. But there was no Uranus and Taurus. Remember that. Only the 2018 one that we're in now had Uranus and Taurus, okay? Then you go to 1950, you guys are all probably doing the math for me right now, 54. Then you go to is that 54, 6 too? Yeah, okay. Then you might, 1944. Oh wait, I did my math wrong somewhere. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. Oh, 44, 46, sorry, 46. That's where I did it. And then you get to 1938. So now that's where I showed you the last time, okay, that from 1938 all the way to 2018 was the last time that we had Venus retrograde in Scorpio with Uranus and Taurus, which was kind of the peak of the World War II, by the way, okay? Good thing we're not going through that now. But, and maybe for the fact, who knows, there's a lot that we could talk about there. But let's just have some fun and try and find the last time that we could look, and then I don't want to go any farther back. So let's go to 1930, then we go down to 1922, then we go down to 1914. Then we go down to 1906. Then we go to 1880. 1906 to 1888. No, 98. 1898. Okay. Then we go to 1890. Then we go to 1882. Then we go to 1870. I'm so bad with this math. 1876. Then we go back to 1868. Then we go to, and where were we at in this? We were at 1858. So we're really close to everybody. So 1860. Where was Uranus here? Uranus was in Taurus at the last degree. So let's see. This will be interesting, guys. I love doing this. This is my favorite part of astrology. In 1860, when Venus had retrograded, days, all right, let's go to months. Oh, gosh, months. would have been later in 1860. Would have been where is that damn Venus retrograde? It retrograded in Leo in 1860. Interesting. Pretty sure I did all my math right. So 1852. We'll just try this and I'm done. This is the shit I do when everybody's wondering, what do I do up late at night? This is my life. Wondering why. I must have done math wrong somewhere. I must have. Uranus is at 0 Taurus then. Because you know what? With the time frames, I bet you there's some times off. The 8-year cycle, the way that it works is I guarantee you that it doesn't go exactly 8 years in the right space because there is a shift every 3 degrees. And if we add the 3 degrees to all these years, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So 19 and 3 or times 3. I mean, you're going plus. You're going in a whole signs different. So it's going to shift. So what I'm trying to prove to you all at the end of the day is the experience that we're going through now. So we're back at today. Is that nobody's experienced this one. And this experience is about what is the best for us to ascend to a higher place in life, and what our deep needs are, and how to do things right. Let's take that 1938, the last time that Venus was in retrograde and Uranus was in Taurus, and they were actually almost in dead opposition, but they weren't. There was like people like Hitler who really wanted something and were willing to destroy things for it. Literally. And so I'm sure there could have been a way, and even though this might sound controversial, but I'm sure there could have been a way that Hitler could have done everything way better to get whatever he wanted, instead of being a destroyer and literally killing people and doing really dark shit. And within you need to look at yourself, not as Hitler, but you need to look at yourself in a way where it comes to your life and are you destroying something beautiful? Or if you don't like something and you don't want it anymore, can you just close the door in a beautiful and very prosperous and very harmonious way? And have you actually looked at why you want to get rid of it or why you don't like it so bad? Because the true thing is, if we look at today's astrology, and let's go to paper, let's get out of this crazy Venus retrograde, and let's go to pretty much this weekend. And that's excuse me. That's why I'm bringing up this Moon Neptune thing this weekend on Saturday. Is are you consciously really revealing enough, especially with the Mercury trine, right? About this whatever you want and maybe or what you don't want? Are you looking at it from a conscious state where are you just lost in some sort of fantasy that actually doesn't deliver everything that you want, and you actually get there and you ingest it and it's just not real? This is very deep Capricorn times where things need to be real in reality. Things need to have a structure. Not having structure in your life right now, not having a plan, not being able to advance in your life, especially with Uranus and Taurus, not being able to advance in your life with a structure. And this is what the whole spiritual community and hippie communities and everything, they don't want. They want no structure. But the truth is yes, the structure sucks. But you can make the structure however the fuck you want it with Uranus and Taurus, how you want it. But leaving completely off the grid of reality with Mars in Aquarius and the South Node in Aquarius, and this feeling like you can just leave Earth and go to this whole different place and destroy everything and because of your deep needs and wants, and just piece the fuck out, is the ultimate dichotomy towards what light work is. Light work is us stepping into reality and making it a different structure and stepping into it with integrity and stepping into it with inspiration and showing the way and changing the structure, but you got to be in the structure to change it. You just don't demolish the whole thing. Like this world, and there's a lot of parts of structure of life that's been great. I mean, let's be honest, the structure that I'm able to talk to you live right now on a fucking camera, come on, there's some great structures here. Maybe there needs to be some tweaking and some readjusting. That's why this is called an OTT network. If you go look up that term on Google, because we're going over the top. You don't need to be watching ABC or NBC or anything to watch me talk about astrology. Now you're able to go over the top of them and I can talk to you directly. So the truth is when you look at the world and you see the structures in life, sure, there's a lot of shitty ones, and especially political with the Pluto-Saturn stuff that we're getting into. Yeah. But the deepest truth is that there are amazing structures that just need change. So leaving and going off into your own world and destroying everything is exactly what people did in 1938. And look at the results that what happened. Now, this was different, of course, because the nodes are in Leo and Aquarius and all this kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, are you able to 100% look at your subconscious and unconscious self that wants to destroy something that you love for a need? And yes, when you get into all this fixed energy and these fixed crosses, guess what? I know it could feel like, you know what, you're at a thing where you feel like you need whatever it is that you need to feel. And you need to go experience that. And that's part of Jupiter and Scorpio. I get it. But it's complicated times where we all have to accept that everybody's going through these deep transits of feeling like this is what they need. These extreme transits of feeling like this is exactly what I need to feel. And that's okay. But when you get there this weekend and the ends of these cycles, because next week is the Venus-Sun cycle in retrograde. It is the Sun opposed Uranus. It is the Scorpio Sun deep into the underworld with Venus in the underworld. It is Mercury catching up to Jupiter. It is Jupiter leaving and getting ready to exit Scorpio. It is the nodes at the final degrees with the square to Uranus, with this the next couple weeks are the holiest moment in our existence when it comes to beautiful things and love and connection, and whether or not we do that or we do this, you know, this whole transitional period of the choices that we make in our life. So it's important for us it's okay to be on the fence a little bit right now, but at the same token, it's also the deepest reflective week in your life of your unconscious destroying elements of beautiful things. And when you look at for what you really want, and you actually look at it, and if you go experience it and you feel it, I truly believe, even looking back like we did at some of the years, just to look at that 1938 and the new moon that was on Venus retrograde at 28 and 29 degrees of Scorpio. And that's exactly where the Saturn square Jupiter was of August of 2015. And this is where Jupiter is going to reveal, are we really happy with what is on that other side of what we destroy? And I'm sure we are. For some cases, yes, there are parts of my life when it comes to energies I connect with, people I connect with, situations I connect with, where I am like, the boundary line is drawn. But there's others that are so beautiful and so great that you go, why would I fucking destroy that? Why? And does it actually have the quality that you've had from what you're destroying? It's kind of like I remember as a kid or a teenager, everybody destroys something, and then we regret it. Like we pound on the VHS recorder because it's not recording, and then we get pissed at it and we throw it and we break it, and then we realize now we can't watch VHSs anymore, and we're gonna have to settle with watching TV. It's like, these are the stupid 80s and 90s situations I went through. Or back in the day with my Discmans, right? The anti-skip, you'd have to hit it a bunch of times, and then finally you get pissed at it and you throw it, and you're 14 years old and you don't have money, so guess what? You have to wait till Christmas or your birthday to get another Discman. And that's the big gift, you know what I mean? So it's not like you're just rolling in dough, you now have to resort to your old Walkman and get your, put your tape in and record it, you know what I mean? And put your mixtape on your fucking Walkman. Those are the lessons we learn. Is it really worth that at the end of the day? And I don't know the answer to that. That's what you answer in your own deep self of what your journey is, and everybody being accepting of that journey. But with Mars square Mercury this week, man, some people outside might not understand what you want. And that's how you know then maybe that's not a path to go down. If they don't understand what you want, and they don't understand, and you don't understand where they want, then that's how you know. Then you don't need to hang on the fence so much. But I bet you those people come back around in the next 6 months with the way that the transits are going. When they go off, and people go off into what they feel their deepest hunger is and their deepest want, especially with Uranus coming back into Aries, and everybody just goes deep into, this is what I need and what and then we come out into next year and we come into this whole new ground with Uranus going to be in Taurus for 7 years, Chiron in Aries, and it's kind of like, oh man, is this really what I wanted, And so it's important for us to take this time this week to really process a lot. But also at the same time, yes, there's a lot of processing to still do, but it should be pretty clear now, are you destroying something beautiful, or are you destroying something that has been disrupting the beauty in your life? I'm going to show you guys one more chart at the end of the week, which is the last chart, and that's on October 22nd. This is going to be the last day of the sun in Libra. On Monday, this is going to be a very powerful day. One, Neptune has come back to 13 degrees. This is the degree where it will station on November, I think it's 25th it comes direct. So Neptune's going to be stopped here at 13 degrees. Look at your chart for anything 13 mutable or 13 anywhere in the chart. It's going to be hitting that very hard. But look at this. The sun begins its opposition to Uranus. Venus, of course, is getting ready for its sextile to Saturn. We are getting ready for new cycles. We are getting ready for the sun to come into Scorpio and join and meet up with Venus. So this is becoming very potent and very intense. And that's why it's important to use this week, right? Because you don't want to step into something that, or you don't want to destroy something without going into fully integrating and seeing it at its full degree and potential and the value of that. The sun opposed Uranus kind of is this position of going against the grain. I'm going to do it my own way. But are you doing it in a place that's really taking you higher? Is it an unconscious belief? The moon's going to be in Aries. So even though it's not the full moon, the technical part is we are about to enter, and these days blow my mind the most. They do. And the reason why is because technically we're in like a long full moon phase. Because the moon's in Aries and the sun's in Libra, so it's a full moon. Not exact. But then we move to the 23rd, then the sun comes into Scorpio, the moon's in Aries, and now technically the full moon's over? Because they're in different signs, even though it's more full. And then the day after that, we have the full moon in Taurus, on top of Uranus, opposing the sun, which we're going to talk about next week. So we're coming into where this week is, even though it's a break, a breather to process, and even though there's alarms going off and this determination, we go into the incredible, most radical, I believe, full moon of the year with the nodes, the most radical transitions with this Venus retrograde square the nodes and the sun and Venus conjuncting. And I mean, this stuff gets extreme here starting next week. So are you really aware? Use this week to be, are you really aware about what you're doing? It's okay to be on the fence. It's okay to look around, but not about, what other people are doing or anything, but in yourself, where is your consciousness about what your needs are, and do they lead to beauty and creating something beautiful? Or do they lead to greed, selfishness, and more importantly, alone in your own, whether it's monetary needs or some sort of thing that you value that truly is self-serving, that doesn't lead to your heart, but leads to some sort of stimulation that leaves you alone. That's how we're going to wrap up today's Deep Astrology. Make sure that you get my readings one more day, or it's 2 more days. On the 18th, my sale is over for a reading with me. They're booking up fast, so there's some spots in November left. During the middle of when Venus is at the finalization of its retrograde and we're coming out of it, and then Mercury goes retrograde. So if you definitely want to get a reading, especially you might need it during that time, I have a discount code CRAZY, it's 10% off. Also, the Venus retrograde videos, they are still available. We are not even near over this Venus retrograde. We are not over until November 16th. So I have special videos per sun sign that you can individually buy, or your rising or your moon sign. Go to the inclusiveastrology.com. Go on to webinars and specials and you'll see it right there. Bam, pick down the drop-down menu, the sign that you want to purchase. And those videos are deep, just how we do it in the studio right here. And I go through the chart for your own individual sign. Make sure that you grab those. Thanks so much for all the support. I want to make one announcement about this show. I made this announcement on Future Life, but I'm just going to prepare everybody. And I'm going to do this with my most heart and honest truth. But this show is going to be leaving YouTube in about a month and a half. And it's going to be exclusive to my app. And that's just the way that I've been doing this show. I've been doing this show in all my shows. Whether it was my daily I did from 2012 to 2015, then I put it on the app. Then it was the Uncut. I did that for 2 years, then I put it on the app. This is a show that I experimented with to see if it was worth purchasing. And I truly feel, and the way to keep this operation running, to be honest with you all, is on the app for $5.99 a month with all my dailies and my sun sign horoscopes and my weekly tarot and the daily tarot and all these other people doing videos for $5.99 a month. But you got time, and I'm going to throw out a sale on the app or the website. It's a website. People always think it's just an app. It's a website too. But I will be replacing this show with there's actually be 3 other shows. So it's not like I'm going away off YouTube. Believe it or not, there's going to be more YouTube stuff. But when it comes to horoscopes and deep astrology and deep horoscope stuff, I'm moving all that to my horoscope app because I feel that horoscopes are worth money, especially if you want the real shit. I've looked around. I'm sorry to say, go have fun out there in YouTube world with the astrology out there. There's not a lot of really deep shit out there. I'm just going to be honest. And I'm pulling and moving towards different astrology stuff. We're going to be doing astrology news. I'm going to be doing this cool astrology podcast show that's video based, where I'm going to be talking about different sun signs and why this sign does this and why this does that and why this transit is this way in people's lives. And I'm going to be moving into more of kind of like a general astrology, YouTube, but moving away from a horoscope based YouTube, because I have a whole entire network based off that. So you got time. I appreciate all the love everybody's been giving me on Facebook and on YouTube and supporting this show. But the best way to support me is supporting, the work that I put to put that out there on that network. And so you got some time, but I'm just putting it out there. And if you don't feel like you resonate with wanting to pay to watch videos like this, then I totally get it, and it's all good. But I'm just preparing you all that by the time this Venus retrograde ends and we step into Jupiter and Sag and we get into pretty much the nodes in Cancer and Capricorn and everything shifts here, but the end of November, it'll be sad, but yeah, the show will be only on futurelife.tv. But I've been appreciating the love this year, as this show's been incredible to do out in the public and on Facebook Live. But I am replacing it with lots of new shows, interview shows, a daily show that I'm going to be doing that's not astrology based, but just my revelations of what's going on in the universe and stuff like that. But definitely the horoscope aspect of this channel will be shifting. So I know that's kind of a gnarly thing to say, but I love you all very much. Thank you for all the support. I hope you spread these videos out there to get the attention out there to people about what's going on. And of course, my new and full moon videos will always be out still on YouTube. I still will push those to show people what the daily's like. So thanks so much for all your support. Truly appreciate it. And I'll see you all. Oh, and of course, spiritual dance music is always free too, which we do every 2 weeks on the new and full moon. Anyway, see you guys later.